I've made videos for many years, and as everyone else, I stored the video files on separate external hard drives. After a couple of years it became quite many, and it worked. But finally, one of my hard drives started to do some death rattles.
Does not sound good. And my computer doesn't sense it, so it's clearly not feeling well.
And it became clear that I needed a better solution. I researched different ways to solve it and figured I better build me this NAS thing. NAS stands for Network Attached Storage. It's a big hard drive that is connected to your home network, so you can access it from everywhere, wired or wirelessly, as long as you're connected to your home network. I live in a small one-room apartment, and looking around on many different options, I came up with an idea. I would store it under the couch. These server computers looked really flat, and I figured it'd be a perfect solution. When searching around on server solutions, it didn't seem that you needed a strong computer, so I went on Facebook Marketplace and found a Dell PowerEdge C1100 that looked compelling. This Dell C1100 computer had only been powered on for 80 hours, but it is a model from 2011. When googling on the specs of the thing, it felt like it could do the job, so I went on and bought it for $130.
Hey honey, look what I got. Look at the size of this thing.
It barely fit in my kitchen. It's huge. It was equipped with two Intel Xeon L5640 2.27 GHz CPUs and 8 GB of ECC memory. 6 SATA ports, 3 PCIe slots, a 128 SSD storage unit that I could use as a boot drive, everything in the same package. For storage, I went with 4 18 TB Toshiba Enterprise HDDs. That cost me $1,400. And that would give me about 38 TB of storage, counting in the redundancy storage the drives need in order to work fast and save files if one of the drives would crash. I researched around on different RAID setups and ended up with RAID 5, which in CFS file system language is called RAID Z1. The concept being that all the files is stored on all the drives at the same time, and also every single one file of the hard drive's files is separately stored on the other drive so that you can recover from having one hard drive fail on you. I researched different operating systems that I were going to use on the server computer and landed on installing TrueNAS. It seemed to be the OS with the best, most active community, active forum, and it just felt like it had gotten a lot of updates the last years, so I went for that one. Being a server first-timer, it was a lot to learn, and it took me a while to figure everything out. Just installing TrueNAS was quite a challenge. One thing was that I needed to remove this RAID controller card in order for me to get TrueNAS installed. It was this card that blocked via hardware me from installing anything else on the server. A very new, strange thing. When I got the Toshiba hard drives, I aimed to keep the build as tidy as I could, so I tried to fit the drives into the server chassis. It did not work, so instead I went with a HDD tower solution for $70, and I put that behind my couch. So, server under my couch and a tower behind my couch. Since the server was so old, it didn't have the right power connections in the computer to power the hard drives, so in order for me to power all my HDDs, I needed to buy a separate PSU unit. I went for a Corsair 750 watt one for $75. When installing the PSU, I realized that if you're going to use it without a motherboard, you need to short circuit two of the holes on the motherboard control cable.
So apparently you can just bypass the cable that is supposed to be sitting on the motherboard, because there's a little switch on this guy here that is supposed to feel that it got the command from the motherboard. So you can just bridge, yeah, that pin there and that pin there. Just 15, 16. What do you say? What do you say?
So I did that and got the PSU to power all my drives.
And it's on! Nice, it recognizes drives. That is a great success. So now I will try to put everything in place. The next worry is how much this is gonna sound. This is gonna be in my living room.
Had some trouble installing TrueNAS, mostly due to the RAID controller card sitting there, but I also needed to bypass some security thing that was attached to the backplane of the computer. Eventually I bypassed that second control hardware thing and got TrueNAS to install and boot properly. Lastly, I bought some super long USB and VGA cables so that I could maneuver the server from my main workstation. The console here as well. Reboot. And finally, I got inside TrueNAS to set up a storage pool. And with the redundancy, I now have around 38 terabytes of storage. Everything was up and running, but during my research I've read that TrueNAS really loves RAM, so I ended up buying 192 gigabytes of ECC memory from Cloudninjas on eBay. Once I got the RAM, I could never get it to work on the server. It would simply not boot with the memory I bought. I even tried to buy a redundant PSU for the computer, but no luck. So I returned the memories and have simply went with the 8 gigabytes of memory that I have in the computer, and it has worked really well. I've used it now for a bit over a year and it's very reliant. I can edit from the server and just have everything in one place, and knowing that you have redundancy on your files, it just feels great. Another thing that I was worried about was the sound from the server. But it's actually not that bad. It has a kind of natural wind sound to it, so much that sometime when we have guests over, they think it's the wind from the outside that makes the sound. Generally, my PC sounds more than that of the server. So that I would say is a great rating of how little the server sounds. If you have any questions on the setup or any idea why my ECC memory did not work, please give any tips in the comments below. I hope to have inspired someone who has a small apartment but would like a big NAS server at home.